There may be some connection there with the Taino Indians as well as...
And how much they still cling to age-old myths.
Okay, so Dennis has introduced the great claim that all African Americans I've met make, which is that their great-grandmother had high cheekbones and straight black hair and was a Cherokee. How many of you guys think that you have Native American ancestry? I do. Like all these Negroes got it.
Many Black people want to believe that we are descendants.
But now, check this out. Oh, I forgot my mic was muted. I'm sitting here talking away. Okay. Anyway, but now check this out. Your same boy, Mr. Gates, also had this to say. All right. Check this out.
She was in an auditorium like 75,000 people or something, and she announced that she just had the test and that she was Zulu. So it broke on CNN. I was sitting in my living room minding my own business and said, Oprah Winfrey's a Zulu. So I called Rick Kittles and I said, Rick, did you tell Oprah she was a Zulu? He goes, no, man, she made that up herself. It's a true story. It's a true story. I would lie to make you laugh, but I'm telling you a true story. So
now he said there, listen very closely to the words now. I want y'all to listen very closely.
I said, Rick, are you in your lab? He said, yeah. I said, is anybody there? He said, no. I said, when the results come in, make her Zulu, man. You know? I said, you back there making it up anyway.
Uh-huh. Got him. Got him. Got him. Listen.
I said, you back there making it up anyway.
I mean, it don't get much better than that, you know. Y'all, I'm sorry that in the beginning my mic was muted, so I was talking away thinking that y'all were hearing me, but I couldn't resist the temptation of sharing that, because a lot of people, I run into a lot of Afrocentrics, okay? And these Afrocentrics, Afrocentrics and Pan-Africanists and stuff, when I tell them about my indigenous ancestry, they say, oh yeah, all of these, black people want to be Indian, blah, 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 blah. Henry Louis Gates, that's the first name they bring up, Henry Louis Gates and his documentary on finding your roots, okay? So I needed to play that because they don't talk about that part, okay? The part where he calls up Rick Kittles and he says that he's back there making it up. Anyway, so anyway, welcome to the Red Road East. Moburiga, Oshio, welcome. I am your host, Fierce Truth Seeker. The Red Road East is an indigenous TV program and YouTube channel dedicated to archiving and preserving the history, legacy, and culture of the original peoples of the Americas east of the Mississippi River and the Caribbean. Okay, so many of you have watched the show and have seen many, many, many guests. I mean, I've had tons and tons and tons and tons of guests on this show from the community and other communities and things of that nature. And out of all of the guests, I get a lot of people calling me up and saying, hey, man, Dr. Fatou, man, that interview that you did with Dr. Fatou Diarra, man, that is the best interview that you've done so far, man. Listen, you got to bring her back on, man. She is something else. So now I've got to tell you all, if you think that Dr. Fatou is bad, tonight, or should I say this evening, I've got her mentor that's joining us. And he's going to go head on, head to head, headbutt to headbutt with Henry Louis Gates's nonsense. Okay? And right about now, we're about to be joined with none other than my great brother, who I've been trying to get on the show. This is not the first time I've tried to get him on the show. I tried to get him on the show years ago, but because of where he's located, the time difference was the issue. So it's not, don't fault me for not having him on before, okay? It's just, we couldn't get out. We couldn't get the logistics in terms of the time difference, okay? But I have the good brother, Tyrone Lewis Cannon, joined with us. Brother Tyrone.
Hello, Fierce Truth Seeker, and hello to the audience. I really appreciate you having me, and thank you for your audience. I'm glad to be here. Oh,
you're quite welcome. So now what I'm going to do is, before I actually have him to speak, I'm going to have his bio. I'm going to read his bio for you, okay? Because this brother here has been doing some heavy research throughout the years. And I mean, you have a lot of people who talk about DNA, in the various, I'm going to say, quote unquote, Aboriginal communities and things of that nature, okay? And I've seen different people get on, I don't want to call other platforms names, but get on these various conscious, so-called conscious platforms, trying to handle those from the Pan-Africanist community, okay? And some of them have done pretty good jobs, but when the Pan-Africanists confront them, a lot of times they're stumbling on, you know, on certain areas of this information, okay? But this brother right here, he does not stumble, okay? And he's also working on a book that he's going to be talking about towards the end of the show as well. So Tyrone Lewis Cannon is a genetic genealogist and author of the scientific paper Decolonization is Incomplete, okay? And he is born in Mobile, Alabama, okay? He's a cybersecurity consultant and generative AI business strategist, and he is the founder of Bounty Hacker AI, okay? And he was initially driven by a personal quest to understand his ancestry. Tyrone's journey led him to question the prevailing narratives surrounding the transatlantic slave trade and its impact on his lineage. Dissatisfied with the limitations of traditional genetic testing, he embarked on an independent exploration of genetic genealogy, conducting his own research and contributing to the field through scholarly publications. Tyrone has produced approximately 1,600 post-result analysis and scientific descent comprehensive reports for ancestral truth seekers in the USA looking to explore their genetic genealogy. Tyrone is a proud and highly decorated United States Navy veteran who served from 1996 to 2000 with an honorable discharge. Tyrone is based in Melbourne, Australia, where he works as a cybersecurity consultant, blah, blah, blah. We already said that. And okay, so without further ado, I will bring you Tyrone Lewis Cannon. Brother Tyrone.
All right. Hello again. All right. So how would you like to kick it off, brother? Would you like to start off with the questions or that introduction was absolutely stellar. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Yeah, so basically, I know I was going to ask you about how you got interested in the DNA research. Did that introduction sum it up, or is there more to it?
Oh no, the introduction was only, that was the beginning of my rabbit hole.
Okay.
Approximately your deep dive into my personal ancestry, which led to our ancestry. I'm not in this alone. And at the same time, we're not a monolith, so we have our respective interests and things like that. But a common interest is decolonization being incomplete, meaning the true ancestry of the American Negro, or the Black American, if you will, so-called Black American, until that's globally acknowledged. Decolonization remains incomplete, and that's my central thesis of my next title and things of that nature. So yeah, so it was a personal interest. It was about, first, I grew up hearing that I was Muscogee, Indian, whatever the case may be, and so the personal interest extended past that because I had no reason to question that. I was really interested in the way people look, physical features, phenotype, and things of that nature. So that combination of interests led me to actually undertake my first direct-to-consumer genetic testing test, which was with a company, I think called DNA Solutions. And oddly enough, I believe it was in Melbourne. But it was an STR, short tandem repeat type test in relation to Y DNA, haplogroup, short tandem repeats, as well as mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, which is the mother's line, short tandem repeats. I mean, that's prior to your autosomal testing, or even in relation to single nucleotide polymorphism, which is an SNP relative to haplogroups. So yeah, hopefully that wasn't a bit too highbrow in relation to why I got into genetic testing.
Oh no. Oh, that's fine. Perfect. You have the floor. And so also what I wanted to know is, and even before that, before I get into the next question, I want the viewers to know that, as we mentioned in the intro, Brother Tyrone does scientific descents for those who are seeking a deeper understanding of like many people have taken DNA tests on 23andMe, Ancestry, and stuff like that. However, you can't go by that on face value, okay? And Brother Tyrone does an excellent service. He did mine, as a matter of fact. And his service, he goes into a deep dive and matter of fact, I'll let you talk about that. Yeah. Let me let you talk about the scientific descent.
That's okay. So, a lot of us, we spit in the tube, we submit our DNA, and in many instances, due to the reference populations, it come back in predictable ways. Those predictable ways are very likely majority sub-Saharan African. Under the umbrella of sub-Saharan African is West African ancestry. One of my first red flags, actually, because that's actually tied to the being resistant to a form of malaria, specifically P. vivax malaria, the Duffy-Knoll allele, if you will. So it was a 1950 study conducted on American Negroes, Black folks from the United States of America, on the insusceptibility to malaria. So we are, in most instances, genetically resistant. So natural selection has graced us to be genetically resistant to a form of malaria, which is P. vivax. So those individuals in that study were all Americans. 1950. Come to find out, 23andMe was using that as determination for what we call an AIM, AIM, Ancestry Informative Marker. It was baked into the outputs. So if you possessed that packaged Duffy-Knoll allele and resistance to a form of malaria, which is P. vivax, they then went on to claim and extrapolate from a small information cohort to a larger portion of the population that if you possess that, you also possess 100% West African ancestors. I fell out of my chair. It made no sense because the original cohort that was being tested was all Americans. So how can it be West African ancestry? Rubbish in, rubbish out.
No. I was that's deep. You there, Brother Tyrone?
Yes, I'm here now. I went deep into that. Now, is there anything else you wanted me to expound on that particular topic? If I lost track, please reel me back on.
Oh no. I'm just sitting back enjoying. I'm enjoying what you're saying. You could continue with that if you want, or we could go to the next. It's up to you.
No, I think that's the most I need to say on that. I think the audience that aren't aware that was baked into the process of producing results for so-called Black Americans to be West African was actually a study done on Americans. It makes no sense.
Exactly. Now, what do you have to say to those? Because there's a lot of people who are now saying, okay, well, if you read the DNA testing companies, their disclaimer, they say that DNA is for entertainment purposes only. You can't take that seriously. It can't give you your ancestry. What do you have to say about that, Brother Tyrone?
Well, in the first instance, to say DNA is for entertainment purposes only is very dangerous, because if I'm not mistaken, people are given heavy sentences in the court of law because of DNA. And I do understand there's a distinction of the type of DNA we're talking about. We're talking about direct-to-consumer genetic testing DNA versus DNA tied to alleles that can be tracked to detect the individual that was on a particular site or in a particular geographical location. But I do believe it's dangerous to wide brush stroke and say DNA is for entertainment purposes only.
Okay.
But at the same time, that is sort of a CYA, for 23andMe to cover themselves, because some individuals in the past, some mainstream geneticists has referred to direct-to-consumer genetic testing as genetic astrology.
Right, I've heard that before.
But that doesn't negate the fact that it's real.
True. Yep. Now, so there has been a lot of talk over the years about a discovery. And I've heard it discussed and debated among many in the what they call today Aboriginal community, the Pan-Africanist community, and the clash between the two over this particular discovery of a man by the name of Albert Perry. Okay. And I know that you have broken down this particular find better than anybody that I've heard talk about it. Okay, and I've heard people debate it on platforms, those who, talk about the indigenous autochthonous people on one end and the Pan-Africanists who say, okay, well, if you read the paper, it says that Albert Perry's DNA comes from the Cameroon. Okay, and I recently watched the debate with I hate to call names, but I was watching a debate with Brother Jabari and Ali Muhammad, and in a condescending way, Brother Jabari was saying, y'all can't read. If y'all read the paper, it says here that his DNA can be traced to the Cameroon. It's not an exact match, but nevertheless, the people who were doing the testing, they had limitations because they didn't have access to a whole lot of people to do the study and blah, blah, blah. And, all these different excuses. So can you clarify some of the madness with the understanding of Albert Perry and his particular DNA?
Yeah, look, man, I was around during that period. It's not as if I wasn't around, so this is a firsthand account. And I went head to head with those guys, the researchers on Facebook at that time when I was actually on Facebook. So look, Albert Perry is a brother from South Carolina, South Kakalaki, as we say.
Mm-hmm.
This brother, his DNA was examined. Come to find out, it's at such a deep nature and layer on the phylogenetic Y-DNA tree, it redefined the tree. And his basal node, it was placed at the basal layer of our phylogenetic Y-DNA tree. So, of course, when this happened, the researchers went absolutely bananas. This is supposed to happen to an African, not a Negro in South Kakalaki. What is going on? So immediately, some feverish work behind the scenes went into play. The researchers began to contact their genetic friends and search databases all around the globe to find some type of match. Now, the match that they found, if I'm not mistaken, was 17 mutational steps away. I mean, hey, we may be closer to a chimpanzee than a Cameroonian. You never know. But in any event, if they had those individuals in Cameroon's DNA, why did it take the study and the redefinition of the phylogenetic tree by the South Kakalaki gentleman's DNA before they were able to say that the Cameroonians were Y-DNA haplogroup A00? Question mark. Why did it take that gentleman's DNA to be found, examined, before, if they ended up examining those individuals that they had already previously had in a database?
Deep. That's a good question.
I believe that question will carry with it the sound of crickets.
Yep.
You know, by the way, they tried that same caper with Henrietta Lacks, Immortal Cells. The same caper. They tried to run game and ease in under the radar African DNA. The researchers looked at that and said, get this out of here. What is this? This is not, and we can't send this to space. We can't use this. This is not immortal cells. These are African genes. That jig was up. And they did try that now. That's documented evidence. It's a similar modus operandi. And at the end of the day, I was told by the researchers, look, if you want to study that, why don't you guys conduct your own study?
Really?
Yes. And I said, well, hell, that's a fantastic suggestion.
Wow. That's deep. And it leads me into another question that I had for you, and that was how important do you feel it is for people of our ethnic group to pursue careers in various sciences, and particularly anthropology, doing DNA and, the various sciences, sub-sciences under the field of anthropology? How important do you feel it is for our people to get into those fields?
I believe it's extremely important because as it stands now, in my opinion, and from my vantage point, we're trebly underrepresented. And that's echoed by our lack of voice.
Mm.
You know, the consummate and the consistent proving one's self in the form of proving you're not African. You know, battling against a cockamamie story that doesn't make sense in many instances. And really, when you look at it, this is all about racism, white supremacy, adopted by other groups as well.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Do you also feel that they are purposefully trying to, or should I say, do they tamper with some of these fines and things of that nature? You know, do they suppress certain information, you know, and not tell the whole story?
Yes, absolutely. And this has been going on for many, many moons in various forms. May it be about our ancestry, may it be about UAPs. In any event, it's been concealment of really important information that it would have been good for us to know.
Yeah, indeed. Now I want to ask you a question about along those same lines. What do you feel about the reinterpretation of the ethnic origins of the Lucia skull, going from anything but Mongoloid originally? Because now I remember in the beginning, okay, and I read that paper when it first came out, okay. I was talking about in the early, you know, like early on, like before anybody was even talking about it. I did something on YouTube talking about that. And I remember specifically, they said that when Richard Neeb did the reconstruction of that face, he said this was anything but Mongoloid.
Absolutely.
That stood out for me. He says anything but Mongoloid. So now, how is it?
To me, that is a Negroid face.
He said to me, that is a Negroid face. And right behind that, they said, this is anything but Mongoloid. And how is it? I want to know, how is it that you go from that? Because if you say it's anything but Mongoloid, that means that there's no arguing or debating about it. Okay, no arguments, no debates. So how is it that you go from that to now they're saying based on DNA, you know, okay, we can't go by, you know, just the bones anymore. Okay, now we're using the science of DNA, and we prove that, you know, now, you know, she resembles who she would have resembled modern day Native Americans based on the DNA. Okay, and then conveniently, there is a fire in the museum where her skull was found. Brother Tyrone, what is your opinion on this?
Well, that circles us back completely to the modus operandi that we mentioned earlier. It's a similar MO. You know, you get the original information, and sort of like when we found that brother, when researchers found that Albert Perry DNA redefined the phylogenetic Y DNA tree. their modus operandi was to search for an alternative conclusion. And that same MO is at play when we speak about Lucia, but in a more devious manner. It sounds as if it's a possibility that destruction of evidence could be pondered, but not concluded. Now, I would also open that one may suggest we conduct a independent research trial with Lucia. That way, maybe we can look at a pigmentation profile, like researchers have done with new evidence from County Clare, Ireland, where we talk about where the researchers have done a pigmentation profile on Irish people, hunter-gatherers, and find out that they were dark-skinned. No difference in skin pigment than you and I, with blue eyes, the Black Irish. Hunter-gatherers that were not from the Spanish Armada, so they were not Moors, and they were not African. They did a pigmentation profile, so I open up that we conduct a similar independent study of Lucia and establish a pigmentation profile in the minimum, as well as other updated genetic testings and findings.
Yeah, makes sense.
Put up or shut up.
Exactly. Simple. Exactly. Yep. And I see we have Ninky, our timekeeper. Hey, Ninky, how you doing? Yeah. And we have a question here from Dr. Fatou. She's in the house. Dr. Fatou. She has a question for Brother Tyrone. What is Tyrone Lewis Cannon's opinion on the alleged African cousins that are popping up for some American Aborigines from two American Aborigine parents? People are finding Igbo cousins. Now, before you answer that, that's a very good question and excellent question. And before you answer that, I want to make mention that the same popped up in my various, because I've tested with various DNA companies, and it's popped up on all of mine. And now I know that I tested with recently native DNA, and it popped up there too, as well as a whole slew of Native American tribes as well that I already knew I was connected to, but also even more that I didn't know that I was connected to. And what I was able to find out basically by talking to a couple of my DNA cousins was that we did have some ancestors who were from the Igbo from Nigeria. Now, that's not to say that's going to be the case for, everybody, but I did, find out that there was some oral history. And to your credit, brother, and the reason why I mentioned that is because I got to credit Brother Tyrone here to tell y'all how bad Brother Tyrone is, because I remember when you did my initial scientific descent, you had asked me if I had some ancestors from the continent. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because certain things that come up, and I'll ask that. in the past, I would ask that particular question from a genealogy standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Right, from
from
genealogy.
We're not a monolith. We're not a monolith.
Right.
All of us aren't the same. We have respective ancestries, but the history that's been given to us is been given to us as we're a monolith. True. We all have Nigerian ancestry. We all have sub-Saharan African ancestry.
Right. Yeah. And the reason why I brought that up was because you detected it like right off the bat. And I didn't have at that time, I wasn't connected to some of my, like, as you know, on 23andMe, they have where you could explore DNA matches and shared matches and stuff like that. So I ran into a cousin who was also a Moor as well, and she had some oral history. And I remember immediately, man, from the beginning, you had asked me, you said, yo, I'm seeing here that you have some ancestors from the continent, you know. Then you asked me if I had, you know, some oral history, you know, to because you're talking about the timeline, because they give you that timeline.
Yeah. Now, another thing you have to add too, when you get under the hood. Now, going back to and I would just like to thank Dr. Fatou for that question. We have to distinguish between the DNA test that we're talking about, right? So you have Albert Perry. We talked about him. That particular DNA test was relative to Y-DNA haplogroup testing, which is a different form of an SMP, single nucleotide polymorphism analysis. And then we have something called autosomal analysis, which is what I'll say. So going back to the haplogroups, if you look at an analogy, a sandwich, right? That's the two pieces of bread. The autosomal information, which is more of your ancestry information, that's like the contents of the sandwich, if you will. And then another test, sort of the one that Dr. Fatou is talking about. And this is why we have to get under the hood of these tests and really understand what they're doing before we ride with these people and conclude that they actually know what they're talking about. So that's a different test to test cousins. That testing cousins is more closely related to a paternity test, if you will. So without going into major detail about the difference of genetic type of tests, I would put that back to Dr. Fatou for a distinction on tests, as well as the rest of the audience to educate oneself on the various different type of tests that are offered to customers from direct to consumer genetic testing companies, and also taking into mind ancestry tests and relative testing in the form of paternity testing.
Yeah. Deep. Now, let me ask you, Brother Tyrone, do you believe that the human family originated on the continent of Africa?
I believe the continent of Africa was one place that the human family originated. For the audience, just in case some of us aren't aware, that prior to the Out of Africa theory, open quote, theory, close quote, it is a theory. Prior to that theory, there was the Out of Asia theory. There's another theory called the multi-generational theory, which basically means the humans or the hominids that were in situ on the continent of Africa during the time where they say they evolved into us, Homo sapiens sapien. In my opinion, and it only makes sense, that those hominids were situated in more than one location. They were situated around the globe. I mean, well, we have evidence for that to show that Neanderthals and both Denisovans were never in Africa. And they are actually the type of hominid that was actually in place if, during the evolution from that hominid to the Homo sapiens sapiens, which is us. So it would only make sense that recipe, if you will, or that concoction was present in more than one geographical location.
Okay. Yeah.
Why would we think it was only isolated to one location? Should we say that grass only grew in one location?
That's deep.
It's rather infantile, but it's a result of not considering all available information.
You have a question here, and someone's asked this Akinti on the camera is asking, aren't Neanderthals descended from Homo erectus?
Maybe not. But in any event, they were never in Africa. The fossil record, if we want to go, if we want to proceed with evidence such as fossil records, so what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If I'm told there's no evidence for human activity in the Americas, this and that, so if we went with that, one must conclude that Neanderthals were never in Africa, even if people want to say Homo erectus was in Africa. We can't have one set of rules for a study group and another set for another study group.
Deep. Now, you are working on a book, and can you give the audience a little glimpse, because I want to let this lead into the next show, because we want to bring you back on. Okay, so give them a little teaser about your book.
So the title of my book is Decolonization is Incomplete. And the central thesis is, until the true ancestry of the American Negro, or so-called Black American, is globally acknowledged, decolonization remains incomplete. Straightforward, simple.
Beautiful. And see, let me just acknowledge some of the people who are in the chat here. Brave Coldwater says awesome. And we have Denzel Early 55. Malito. All right. And we already saw Dr. Fatou and Ninki. And I feel that this is a new person here, I believe. LL Lewis. Okay, I think that's a new. Are you new to the channel, LL Lewis? And if so, those who are new, do a big favor and subscribe to the channel. Just give me a second. I just want to check something Brother Tyrone.
It's all good. Take your time.
Those who are watching, I'm just asking if you could do the favor to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated because it doesn't cost you anything to do either of the two. To like, it doesn't cost anything, and to subscribe, it also doesn't cost anything. Okay. Oh, okay. Let me see. Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. And okay. So, okay, so he's not a new. Okay, Lewis is not new. Okay, he says, I'm not new. I've been a sub before a while. Okay, just haven't caught no lives in a while. Oh, okay, great. Okay. And now, let me see here. And then, okay, so Denzel, early 55, I believe that Denzel has been with us as well.
Now,
And
brother, we must touch on that topic. We must touch on that. Australopithecus were early ape-like bipedal hominids that lived in Africa 4 to 2 million years ago. So, yes, that is what the researchers have told us. Now, those ape-like Australopithecus now, that's where Lusia got the name Lusia from. It was sort of closer located to. So the Australopithecus that this brother Denzel is talking about is nicknamed Lucy, from somewhere in South Africa, I believe. Now, that was not a human.
right.
And there's many evolutionary steps, if you will, between that thing and Homo sapiens sapiens. So many to where we could possibly say that there's no relation. We are as related to them as we are to the, so they say, the chimpanzee or the orangutan.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Me personally, when I look at Australopithecus, Lucy, that's not me. That's not you or anyone modern. It's something else.
Right. True. I agree too. And I in my new book, I talk about that as well. But yeah, I agree with you, brother. 1,000%. Okay, so let me see. The same person had another question. So we're early. That a continuation. Oh, I think that was a continuation of his question.
Yeah,
okay.
It's good information.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Those are rather accepted facts at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Atkin, gotcha. So the brother Akintunde Kamara. Oh, that's my cousin. That's my cousin. That's the individual who I was going to open up the show with his question. Unfortunately, we're only doing an hour today, cuz. So what I'm gonna do is have Brother Tyrone come on the next show, and we'll deal with, because I told him that I did share the questions that you had from the last show with Brother Tyrone. But because of the time constraint today, we'll do a second show, and we could actually have you, cousin, come on the show, and as well, we'll have you on the show with Brother Tyrone, and you can ask your questions, you know, as a dialogue. Okay. And we could do it like that. And this way, you know, you could ask you, and it'll be easier, you know, to have it like a discussion. Oh, I thought I'm on. Wait, hold on. I thought I exited solo. Yeah, and that way we can, you know, y'all can have like a dialogue and it'd be a little more interesting. And also, my cousin here, he's got 2 books as well. So that would be good for you to lead into your book that you're working on as well, because I'm going to have him on the show at some point too. So that'll be good, because it'll introduce the audience to you as well, you know, on the next show, so they'll know who you are. Yeah. So yeah, this is excellent. Thank you, cuz I appreciate you, and I appreciate your questions and everything. Yeah. And so we're nearing, we have like 5 more minutes. So we'll deal with the rest of these questions. That should take us out with those questions. I know Dr. Fatou wants to say something too. So this Brave Coldwater says Ethiopia is where Lucia was found, and definitely was not human. Yeah, she resembled a bipedal chimpanzee.
Absolutely. Very diminutive.
Yeah, so yeah. So definitely, yeah, that ain't us.
No, sir.
And Dr. Fatou says, I learned from Brother Tyrone that Neanderthal and Denisovian were melanated. Well, yeah, I remember you talking about that in genetics and trust law. Years ago, were melanated when looking at their ancestral composition. Many equate Neanderthal to pale people.
Yeah, look, the individuals who have reconstructed the Neanderthals morphologically has done us all a horrible disservice. Absolute horrible disservice. Come to find out, when the Neanderthals and both the Denisovans existed, the pigmentation profile, pheomelanin, which is the melanin that light-skinned so-called white people possess, you know, the pink, red, light polymer, if you will, not the dark melanin. That wasn't in existence when the Neanderthals and the Denisovans were around. So it actually begs the question, when one is actually versed on pigmentation profiles and the chronology of those profiles, it begs the question on why they ever actually created them to resemble themselves to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah, so cuz said all good, yeah. So, and okay, so yeah, Lewis, LL Lewis says, this guy mentioned Dr. Fatou. I'm late watching. Yeah, so Lewis, you're late watching this. So the individual that is with us here, the great Dr. Tyrone Lewis Cannon, is Dr. Fatou Diarra's mentor. Okay, with regards to, so basically her research is rooted in Brother Tyrone's research. Okay, so
something else I would like to mention while we have a little time. I just want to get this out.
Oh, if we go over, it's okay. It's okay.
Now that we're talking about the Denisovans and Neanderthals, right? The ancestry composition of both those hominids, which largely were the hominids that they say were in situ. If you take on Homo erectus, then Homo rudolphus, and all that type of stuff. So we have ancestry compositions, which is autosomal DNA analysis, right? You know the pie charts that says European, African, Americas, et cetera, et cetera. The interesting thing is both the Denisovan and the Neanderthal ancestral composition has a large portion of it comprised as that's all good. Each one teach one. So a lot of it is comprised, a lot of it is represented as sub-Saharan Africa. How is that the case if, and I do understand those are our systems that we currently have, the best we have to sort of determine best we can according to our reference populations what it is. But what that highlighted to me in my research is that they were largely depending upon pigmentation determining genes. Otherwise, it didn't make any sense to say it was sub-Saharan Africa. And the Neanderthals and Denisovans, their ancestral composition, the autosomal DNA appear to be more diverse than some individuals that came after them. That makes no sense. That requires further research. These people tell me the point of origin is the most diverse point. So how can one get something that's post the origin and it's far less diverse, but then something else that's post the origin is as diverse as the original? These are all questions that one must examine for a legitimate answer.
Yeah. And let's see here. We have Ajawan says, I found this brother because of Toriano Obashango Ill. Shout out to brother Toriano Obashango Ill, who is no stranger. Who is no stranger to this show. He's been on the show many times. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, my good brother. My good brother here. Always be my brother. Much love.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And so this brother here, brother Tyrone Lewis Cannon, is the one who helped brother Toriano Obashango Ill understand the science of DNA and how it works, and in terms of us here in the Americas, and the autochthonous connection and this, that, and the other.
And it was such a reciprocal exchange, in those early days. Not only did I help the good brother Toriano, he also reciprocally in turn helped me develop the descent as well. So it was how can I say, it was a beautiful orchestration of synergy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, so now before we go, also you have a background with in terms of like hands-on work with this whole DNA and things of that nature. I think you were, if I remember correctly, like a vet or something like that.
Oh no, you're talking about dog breeding and things of that nature, judging and all of that type of stuff. I think from the standpoints of genetics and breeding, that's where I was looking at. I got accepted back in, I believe it was 2008, to the University of Western Australia to study genetics and plant breeding, and I opted not to do that because I determined they were going to try and tell me what and how to think.
Wow. So you felt that they were gonna try to control, how you. It's just kind of like how I remember listening to Dr. Leola Africa back in the days, who wrote the book African Holistic Health, and he was talking about when he was studying to be a doctor, and he was saying, I just knew it wasn't for me because I had too many questions, you know, and they were going to try to tell me, you know, how I could think. And I don't agree with everything that they're saying. And, you know, they're going to
Yep.
want me to play the game and go conventional. And I know it's BS. So that's,
Absolutely.
you felt the same way. Am I correct?
100%.
Yeah, I tip my hat to you, man. You know,
Yeah, and called it early, man. And look, I let Infinite Intelligence, the pipeline that I have with Infinite Intelligence, just drown me in that information that I require, so I can bring it to the people.
Yeah, my hat's off to you for not allowing yourself to be used by the system.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let's see. Dr. Fatou says Toriano Obashango Ill is also her mentor. Yeah. Yeah, good shot, the good brother.
Now, another thing I want to bring up, you know, when it comes to Dr. Fatou and I have had really in-depth conversations, particularly about, you know, specifically her research in relation to I believe it was the shoveling of the teeth.
Right.
With Indigenous Americans. So that was something that was quite useful, and I hope, I'm not sure how her work has culminated in that area, but I would be really interested to see where she still is with that and where she's going to go with that.
Right. Indeed, for sure. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm interested to know as well. Yeah, because it's like, you know, you guys, man, you guys have done such a great service to the community, because there's so many opposing forces who want to try to tell us who we are. You know, they want to try to say, okay, this is what you are. You're this. Okay, you look like this. You come from Africa. But just because you know, realistically, you know, yeah, people who look like us all over the world, not just in Africa.
And Africa does not have a patent on phenotype.
Exactly. Yeah, man. And you know, I just thank you all so much for clearing up all of that madness that's out there, and showing another side to the information, you know, and you know, not because they just want to control the narrative, you
Absolutely.
know. And cousin is asking, Brother Tyrone, how can I get your books? What are the titles? Also, any papers you may have published.
I believe they can send me an email to my email address.
Okay, let me type that in.
Yes, please. And just drop me a query, and I'll respond to that specifically.
Give me that email, Tyrone.
So that's the autochton.tyronecannon@gmail.com. Do you have that one?
Yeah. So that's autochton.tyrone. Autochton.tyrone. Is that autochton.tyrone Cannon?
There you go. So autochton.tyronecannon@gmail.com. So AUTOCHTHON.TyroneCannon@gmail.com.
And also, you have a Facebook. Would you like to share your Facebook page?
No, I haven't been on Facebook for a while, brother. So my social media, due to some work that I was doing in the last 18 months, my digital footprint had to be minimized.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, man. So, man, it's been a real pleasure, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's been really good. Really good to address your audience, the questions, and just man, it's been spectacular. It's been how can I say, an event and food for the soul.
Yeah, man. What's the weather like there in Australia?
Cold as hell right now.
Wow. Oh man. Damn.
Yeah.
I can imagine,
And
boy.
it's Melbourne, so Melbourne's a little bit, I guess you could say, man, Melbourne. So if you compare it to like the United States weather-wise, Melbourne is like the over east or up north, if you will.
Okay.
It's a little colder
than
say the West Coast.
Okay.
Yeah. But
wow.
you still get seasons here. You
Yeah.
get a chance to be a little bit more seasonal in Melbourne, and that results in being able to, flex different types of attire and, and things like that. So yeah, you can actually exercise your closet a little bit better in Melbourne.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's cool, man. So I'm looking forward to having you back on, and
I'm looking forward to coming back. Thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome, man. All right, so it's somebody's answering this.
A house spider? What's a house spider?
What's a house spider? The first time hearing that one.
Hey, is that powered by
AI? Oh man, yeah, I never heard that one before. A house spider. Yeah, but yeah, man, it's been a blast, and I know we're having a good time, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll do it again. Hate to have to go, but yeah. Until the next time, brother. I'm gonna put you.
Brother.
Okay, now. All righty. Okay, folks. I told you. It was gonna be fireworks. I told you. We have the master. We have the master on here. Okay. And I'm definitely looking forward to having him back. And hopefully by that time, the book will be ready. And I'm gonna definitely make sure I purchase my copy, But okay, so I thank all of the viewers for tuning in. All right. And stay tuned for upcoming shows. We're going to be doing some more pretty soon. I would say within the next week or so. Okay. So until the next time, da-da-da, da-ha-e. Sedeme. Ayo.